Welcome back to your channel, you big bass lovers. It's DeMont coming back at you again. Sorry, I had a quick drink. All right, subject at hand. On one of my other videos, we were talking about the Gap Jig. And also, one of my subscribers sent me this little guy here. I haven't had a chance to mess with him yet, but I got some other ones coming. The Dama Jig, which it looks phenomenal. Some of my other little favorite finesse jigs. I've showed you guys the missile baits. I've showed you my BB jig. I love the BB jig and the missile baits, and a couple of other ones I like so much. I like the Jewel and the Picasso, little finesse jigs as well. I know somebody asked me what other finesse jigs I use, and I meant to show you this guys before, but I've been kind of. I talked to him on the thread I talked to him about, but the other ones I like to use. This is kind of like to round out most of my jigs. And these other three I'm going to show you is Kitex, which these are kind of a secret. So don't share them with nobody else because there's some other little crawls I need to go find as well. But I got these out because we're talking about these on the other video, and I want to see how good these fit. So without further ado, we're going to find out right now. Here we have the guard spin jig. That's a little finesse jig. Then you have the mono spin jig. And you also have the Model 1, which for most of my like regular jig fishing, it's this guy right here. But also the this guy and the Picasso for like regular jigs. Picasso, well, I do sometimes throw the jewels as well, so that's not true as well, because sometimes the jewels just... Anyway, let's get out here. Let's get this Gap Jig out. And let's take a look at what I said, what I suggested, and let's find out. Did I grab the right size of this? That's the Flex Chunk Medium. I brought a box of stuff. Give me a second. Oh, I threw this in here. This is one of my favorite free rig baits. Another one of my, not free rig, yeah, free rig baits. Thought I'd show you this real quick. Where is the small? Medium. Did I grab nothing but packs of mediums? I'm sorry, guys. I thought I was better organized. I came in from the heat, and I thought I'd get this done real quick. Medium. That's run out there and grab stuff out of the boat. Medium. All right, anyway, guys, damn. I'm sorry about that. They make this in a small. I don't know why I didn't bring it in here with me. I thought I grabbed some, but evidently I did not. But this is the Flex Chunk. But the one thing I was suggesting last time on the live video was this guy right here, the Batwing. And this is the 2.75. I thought I had smaller ones than this, but I think this is kind of the smallest one they make right now. They make this, and they make a 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. So I think this little guy right here on this Gap Jig is going to be perfect. Let's take a peek at it together. And remember, guys, with your last take, you don't want to pinch it. Because if you pinch it, it's going to bunch. And we don't want it to bunch. All right, we're right through his eyes. Then we're going to grab his buttocks and pulls him up on the keeper. Get up on that damn keeper, you. It's this cup keeper here on this Gap Jig, it holds really well, but sometimes getting it up on there is a pain in the buttocks. You can see what I'm talking about, hear me? See that little cup right there? I mean, you could leave it just like this here and it'd be fine. But I like to go the extra mile. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to pinch him. I quit grabbing the strands of stuff. I've been watching these videos on how Raid Japan and Duo, how they build their baits. They put out a lot of videos on YouTube about them. It's interesting as hell. You can kind of see why they charge so much for them. It's all done by hand. It's all done by hand. There we go. It's up on there now. So let's see what kind of little package we have. Guess I shouldn't say, let's see what kind of little package we have. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that little guy right there. What I would do is I'd probably trim the skirt to right below the hook a little bit. So it gives it the actions of the feet a little more. But there you go. But I'll show you what I like to do as well. And I want to see this little Duo jig here is good enough to go with this right here. This is one of my favorite little finesse. This and the Kitech Small. I mean, they got the little chunks. I should have grabbed some of those, but I wanted to really find out about this because this is what I was talking about in the last video. Because I really like this because I can throw this and I'm not going to have bluegills tearing off the feet. I'm not going to have small bass tearing off the feet. No, it's not happening. And you can make this smell like anything you want to smell like. Okay, so this has got a big enough hook for this. I ain't got it really out and mess with it none. But yeah, this is very similar. I want to compare this really guy here to the two things I have sitting here in front of me to show you. And I usually keep these, when I use them, I put them back in the, I have a Plano box. After I use them, I put them back in. But if it's a color I'm trying to use, it doesn't have much of a keeper there. But let's just see. But until I use them, I keep them in their little packs. That's why it's simple for me to go out there to just grab some of the packs out of my bag on the boat. Okay, this hook I think will come out about right here. Yeah, it's got to come out a little bit before the eyes. But it goes right down top of there. It's not much bite. I don't know if this would be the right thing for it or not. But I think that little hook is really sharp. And I think it would button them up. Yeah, that's a nice looking little jig. That's for the Kitech. Why did I went off subject, guys. I'm sorry. This is the Kitech. This is the mono spin jig. I knew this is the small one. This is the small one. I use a I don't even have it here. It's a yeah, they're out in the building. It's what I use on this right here is a little bitty crawl that I got, the mule crawl. I use the mule crawl on this, or I use it's a thing I got from AliExpress. It's a little bitty crawl that works really good on here on the mono spin jig. But even this little chunk right here, it's a little too thick, but it still looks pretty good on it. Okay, so I don't even remember if I put the chunk on the Raid jig yet. I wanted to compare. So this is not really, the Raid jig is bigger than this. I want to see kind of how the profiles kind of match up. The Dama jig. So when I'm going ultra finessey, this is, or really downsizing, if I'm fishing a jig, this is what I'm going with right here. This little guy here, the little mono spin jig. And then the next thing, and I have these in different weights. Well, I say different weights. They don't have that many different weights. There's like 2 or 3 in each one. And this here is the, okay, so the profile, this is the guard spin jig. It's a little bit bigger hook, not much bigger than the mono spin jig. But it's a little bit stouter, and they go a little bit heavier weights. But this is super finessey as well. And sometimes with that little mono spin jig, or with this one, what I'll do is I'll take the chunk and I'll bring it up here, and I will just nose hook it like this right here. So the chunk is kind of free floating. And what happens is when the bass gets a hold of it, when they bite it, the chunk kind of goes down the hook. But you can also, if you're fishing in a lot of cover, sometimes that's not the best. But I also like to throw that same little small crawl on here, because this is still a little bit too small for this. So the hook on the Dama jig is bigger than this. So that's definitely sure. But you can pinch it a little bit, bring it up on there, and it goes right over top of the covers. It holds really good. Not covers, but the bait holders. But you can see the gap's a little bit bigger on this one. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And that's one thing about using these little bat wings, is that I can catch fish after fish after fish on this same trailer. And especially when I've soaked them in bait fuel. Okay, so we're gonna put the mono spin jig back. Well, not the mono, but the guard spin jig. And the only reason why it's called, they both have a guard. Just this one is a tiny bit thicker guard. That's the only thing I can think of why it's called guard. Guard and mono. But this one here has the guard on the front. It's kind of like a heavy piece of, I would call it mono. It's just like one piece of guard material. Okay, so let's go to this. This right here is the Dama jig. I'm gonna go right in the nose. I'm trying not to pinch it. You just want to run it up on the hook. Let's see, we're gonna come out about right here. Wife's texting me. That's fine. Let's pick it out right there. See what happens. Okay, so these little keepers trying to keep them coming up on there. And I like to mix colors like this. This color right here is like a little black and red. And then I like to throw, like, this is green pumpkin red. I don't have it all the way up on there yet. So let's get it all the way up on there. I thought I did, but I do not. There we go. Now we're on the keepers. And this has a much nicer bite, as you can see. And as you can see, the profile of the bait. Let me set the place here. I like how it's got kind of like a spider jig look to it. And I like that it has a horizontal line tie, and it's got kind of almost similar to a baby Arky style head. So this little guy here on BFS, the only thing I wish they weren't, I wish these little jigs weren't so expensive for what you're getting. But truth of the matter is, I have lots of other jigs that kind of do various similar things. That's one thing I would change about the Kitex, is the position of that line tie. Some people really like it, but if I'm fishing through cover and on a jig, I kind of like it the other way. But let me show you the Model 1, which is a lot of people's favorite little jig. A lot of pros as well. They'll tell you they're throwing something different, but they're throwing this. They just happen to put a staple in the bag of this one. That's kind of nice. All right, so it's got kind of an archy style head. This is tungsten. But the way the guard is, you see how that guard is on the hook? And the guard, it's not too obtrusive. It doesn't keep them catching fish. It's kind of soft. The hook is really sharp, but this ain't a hook that you want to, this is not like a super stout hook. It'll bend. So this ain't what you want to go out there and be pitching 20, 25 pound fluorocarbon, because you're going to bend your hook out. But anyway, so here's a little green pumpkin. They're hand tied. So you want to bring your skirt down. Well, it's kind of like not hand tied. It's kind of like it has like a intricate kind of collar to it. But this is kind of like the same. I use this. I use the Kitech chunk. What's it called? The flex chunk? Yeah, flex chunk. I always call it the Kitech chunk. The Kitech chunk, you don't really need like bait fuel and stuff with. You can put it on there, but you don't really need it. It's trying to pull some of the strands in with it. That's the only thing that makes it kind of annoying sometimes. It's staying so full, and it being so full like that has a really good presentation on the bottom. I mean, a really good presentation. It flares out like crazy. Just about to the end. On the 2.75, I put it all the way to the nose. And bring it out the nose, because this has a 3/0 hook in it. And you bring it out the nose like this. Then you want to grab it and pull it up on the keepers. And the keepers really hold on to it really well. But sometimes this makes for a really compact presentation. And this with this 3/8, yes, 3/8. 3/8 is like, as far as I'm fishing like a regular jig, 3/8 is like my go-to. But I would trim that skirt to a little bit below the hook. And it makes it flare out even more, especially in the summertime. When you're wanting that action to really be kicking, you want to trim that skirt down. Trim that skirt down, makes it go poof, poof, poof. Every time you hop it up, that skirt just goes boom, boom, boom. And this adds just so much more action. But you can also do, what I would probably throw on this jig, what I normally do, is, I like the 275. The 275 is my go-to when they're short striking. If I'm using a 3/8 ounce jig, that is. They also make, I fish this in a couple different weights. But that's another thing, see? You get done with your bat wing. You put it back in its pack. And I've put that on, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jigs. Or 5 jigs. No, 1, 2, 3, 5 jigs. I've put that on 5 jigs. And I've rethreaded it a few times on one jig. But you can go to the 3.5 inch, which is this guy here. This one's just plain green pumpkin. I like to sometimes just give them a nice little stretch to begin with. This comes out, you see where he has his little eyes right here? The hook's gonna come out right where those eyes are. Now this makes for a much bigger presentation, especially when you're going for those big jig fish. And I always fish this on fluorocarbon, usually 15-pound fluorocarbon, sometimes 12. Depends on how clear the water is and how pressured I'm fishing. When I'm looking for a bigger bite, this is one of the things I go to, or I go to a swim bait. So it comes out right between the eyes. Then once you bring it out right between the eyes, you're going to grab and pull. Then you're going to grab and pull. Till your bait's up on there. Then you just let the skirt kind of fall down and there you go. But then when you're done, or you want to change something different, sometimes I like to do a different color. If I'm doing green pumpkin, a green pumpkin main jig, sometimes I'll throw in a black and blue. Or sometimes I'll go, that's this right here. Do not mix these with those. Oh, it's got that nice shrimp smell. Or whatever that Kytex smell is. It got the funk. It got the funk. Yeah. But what I do with this little guy here is, now these don't last like those last. But I always put the purple on the bottom. Like this is brown and purple. One of my favorite colors. In case you guys are wondering. I kind of bring it up on here. Bring it out almost to the end. Try to keep it straight. Push it up on the keepers. And as you guys can see, it comes out almost perfectly on this little chunk. This is the medium chunk. And what this does, I mean, it doesn't have as much action as the bat wings does. The bat wings is elastic and it moves all around, it floats and kind of comes up. But what this right here does, in addition to the scent, it helps this bait glide. Like when you pop it, instead of going boop and going down, it goes boop and kind of goes off to the side. Boop, goes off to the side. So it kind of gives it a little bit different action. And bass just love this thing. I mean, they love this jig and this little combination right here. And see how soft that chunk is? But it does have a lot of action. But that green pumpkin with that brown purple chunk, give it a try. You're going to catch something. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. Just want to kind of go out what I talked about in another video, and I said I would try to readdress it in another video. Hope that kind of addressed it for you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below. I'll go ahead and link some of this stuff down below so you know where to get it from. My two favorite places statewide to buy stuff now is Omnia Fishing and Land Big Fish. Neither one of them charge you sales tax unless you live in the state they're in. And both of them you earn rewards. So I'm all about that reward life. As you can see, this is the box I grabbed when I throw stuff in was an Omnia box. So kind of gives you a little bit of where I'll be buying from. All right, guys, I'll go ahead and link this stuff down below. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to answer your questions. I appreciate you guys for following along. I know this is kind of a longer video and kind of, some of you guys already know this stuff, but just like to show some things. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Till next time, tight lines. Y'all stay safe and catch one for me.